Lasha. I am a CTO of Yfisher. While we starting this presentation, I want to present what we are doing, how we come here, and yeah. So our company is working in tech business. We are creating software which collects information from Wi-Fi access points. When you connect to Wi-Fi, you should see, first of all, this advertisement. Then you have different options like manual registration or Facebook registration. And after that, you will be able to get internet access. So after that, we collecting this information, processing this data, and gives for clients targeting advertisement. We are becoming from monolith systems to microservices. Today, my topic is microservices on AWS. How many people knows what is this microservices? Can you hands up? Cool. And how many people works with AWS? Cool. So yeah. I think we have some friendly auditory. It's cool. We are starting our business at 2015, yeah?
Pretty much.
15. But after David is my partner, we started this business at 2015, yeah, and after that we have some monolithic system, and we decide to grow up, and after that we rewrite this.
I can also say like a few words, because we don't really have a presentation yet, so maybe I could tell you more about like why we went to microservices. Almost done. So the main idea is that, let's say if you Google Wi-Fi advertising, you get like, I don't know, 10 pages of Google with a lot of companies doing like Wi-Fi advertising, right? So you just Google Wi-Fi marketing or advertising, and you get like a lot of like hundreds of companies who are doing that. But the idea is that if you have like such a big market with so many companies and so many players, the main idea is that none of them is doing big money, right? So, like generally in business, if there is like one stake, everybody is inside, nobody's doing big, everybody has big costs, nobody doing big profits, right? So our idea, and I mean, monolithic architecture was enough for Georgia and like for one country.
Yeah.
But our main idea is that we are onboarding all of the other Wi-Fi advertising companies to our platform with their white label. So in that way, Wi-Fi advertising companies are able to cut their costs in tenths, right? So they have like 1/10 of their cost at the end of the day, like using our platform, but with their branding. And then like in many countries like Colombia and Egypt and Sri Lanka and Philippines, and many others, I mean Sweden, Norway, we are like in many countries where we have partners who are then building their system upon our system and doing their own branding in their country, right? So you may face and see Wi-Fi advertising in many countries, but you're not going to see Yfisher anywhere, right? So it's like totally, so we are pretty much on-demand service in Wi-Fi advertising with white label of our partners. Okay, some more things about the company. Let's do it. But the idea, at the beginning we were working with directly with clients, but then like we realized that like if we focus on software, and then like if we also focus on sales channels and working with end clients, it means that like our focus is going to be diversified and split into two. So that's why last year we made the decision to work only through so-called channel partners. our partners who are then selling our software and white labeling our software, who then gets paid based on what they sell and how they sell it. Yeah, but
it's just
okay. Yeah, few things. Yeah, question, cool.
So you started with Shonia, and now how many
So we will like, I can't tell you like how many things we have tried in sales, like a lot of things. Not many of them work, let's say that way, right? So we've been trying to go into Lithuania. I've been living there for like half a year. Didn't work. We got like only biggest exposition center, but that's like very small. But now we like found this very special way of selling, which I'm grateful, you know. So we did it.
It's in this computer.
Okay. So now like almost each week we are onboarding one new partner.
We detected the screen as well, but since the presentation is already here, let's just keep it.
Going
We
like
also need to capture the screen.
I don't know like when we're gonna slow down in growth, but right now it looks like we are like on it, right? So it's like when you're surfing and you catch the wave and you're like, yay, like first time. So we're kind of like, yeah, there.
And you have a team in Armenia?
We don't yet, you know, but you know, it's getting like really hard to find developers in Georgia, and I personally think that Armenia is more advanced in that. So there are like more developers in Armenia.
Is there a video in the presentation?
So
is there a video in the presentation?
We're probably not going to have like team here, but if there are going to be like people who will want, we usually move people, right? So for instance, we have employees from Iran because it was kind of surprising. We just like posted our job posting on Georgian webpage, and then we got this application from Iran, and we were like, great guy, like why not? So we just moved here to Georgia, and I guess like in 2 weeks we have like another guy coming in, like network engineer,
Microservices on
CCIE
AWS.
level, very hard to find in Georgia.
Your name?
Easy to find in Iran. So I think that in terms of Armenia, we will be more looking for software developers here.
So just keep this running.
Okay. And after that, I can turn it.
Yes,
yeah?
please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Show's yours.
Yeah, we have everything, so we can start. Yeah. For today, I want to introduce microservices on AWS. I explain what is this microservices, and after that, what is this AWS. First of all, microservices are some small RESTful APIs which can communicate each other and collect information between services. We call it services, okay? Then AWS is a platform where you can build these microservices, where you can, I don't know, put your business, your tech business, and yeah, see some results, how it works. You can manage, scale, put more servers or pools in existing infrastructure, or yeah. So this is our agenda for today. What are microservices? Then we talk about microservices versus monolithic architecture, benefits of microservices, and yeah, finally we talk about microservice architecture on AWS. It will be some simpler architecture structure where we can see how we can deploy these systems on AWS. So let's start. I want to introduce a short video about microservices, and after that we can continue. It's not working. It's not working.
Oh, it should. No, this is streaming link. So just press play. Okay, so it's internet.
There's YouTube link.
Yeah, so it's opening.
It's the biggest buzzword in tech today, microservices. But what are they exactly? Let's take a closer look. Up until recently, software was developed as a single unit, constructed from a mishmash of hand-built custom technologies that were hacked together. As you can imagine, the more features you added, the more complicated it became, with a code base that constantly grew bigger and harder to work with. Microservices breaks apart this model into a set of small, discrete, and most importantly, independent processes. That means developers can improve software faster and more efficiently. Great, you say, but how does it work? It helps to think about it like another major technology upheaval, the invention of the assembly line. Once upon a time, a single team of workers assembled a single automobile from start to finish. It was a time-consuming, labor-intensive process with no standardization. Workers were responsible for all tasks at once, constantly switching contexts without any specialized focus. Using that method, in 1910, Henry Ford's factory struggled to keep up with the demand. But then, Ford pioneered the assembly line. By standardizing car parts that could be assembled more efficiently, the company was able to not only satisfy the demand, they figured out a way to build cars faster than ever before and disrupt the entire automotive industry. Microservices work in much the same way for software. Just like the assembly line did for car parts, the microservice model offers standardized modular blocks of code for individual processes that can be plugged in for a cleaner, more efficient build. Working with smaller, independent units means that business capabilities can be created out of composable building blocks, which are then connected with well-designed APIs that help them communicate with one another. Let's say you are building an online store. You'll need a few services to start. Let's say an online payment service, an order fulfillment service, and an order tracking service. Good thing is, those prepackaged services already exist thanks to microservices. Then, as your business scales, you'll be able to easily grow your offering by adding more pre-built features, like email marketing, customer service, and analytics. This standardization of architecture and loose coupling of services means they can be changed and improved individually without upsetting the entire system. In this age of hyperspeed innovation and supersonic business shifts, having the speed and agility to adapt is the key to innovation. If you're looking to steer your business into the future, microservices can be the vehicle to take you there. And if you ever need a roadmap, MuleSoft is here to help.
Yeah, this is a short explanation of microservices, and there was a genius.
Wait, here. Yeah.
This one?
No, this one.
Yep. Okay. So there was some genius guy, which name is Henry, and he created assembly line, which reduced his working from 12 hours to 2 hours. As tech people, we should think about like Henry, because in our business we should think about time. Yeah. So I want to compare microservices and monolithic architecture. What is the difference between this architecture? First left side, you can see monolithic architecture where there is some layers. As you know, in every web page have user interface, business logic, and data layer. So in monolithic system architecture, we have this in one, for example, server, okay? But in microservices architecture, we have in different sites, because sometimes in companies there is some people who, or teams who work in different part of whole system. I mean, for example, imagine that you have team which works on front-end side, and you have some 3 or 4 teams which works in back-end side, and they developing these services independently. So microservices architecture give possibility to have many small APIs which communicates each other based on lightweight RESTful API, and it does not matter programming language, because the main idea of microservices is to have different teams which works in different languages. For example, in some cases, business have some big data to analyze, and there is some programming languages which is not relevant to collect and processing this data. But if we have this architecture, we will be able to process this data, calculate it, and manage it flexibly. So in first left side, in user interface side layer, we have front-end side, okay? After that, as you see, there is a business layer and data interface. This mechanism works together. So if something goes down, or if there was some broken code, your system goes down, okay? But in microservices architecture, we have separately user interface layer, business layer, and data layer, which means that if one microservice goes down, it not means that your whole system goes down, okay? So, yeah, what is the benefits of microservices? First of all, this is the agility. I mean, when you have different teams in your organization, you should focus on their time, and when you have these developers who works in different programming languages, they can develop some results which based on business capabilities. Yeah, what is the quality? Quality in this section, we can improve our code quality, our experience in in development side, in deployment side, because when you have small and many teams, you will be able to care your code quality. Let's say what is flexibility? We means that quality, this architecture, microservices architecture, is very flexible when you use it in different programming languages, and also you can manage and create some watchers which listens about condition of service and immediately increases it if something went wrong. After that, you can develop and put different kind of business logics inside microservices. For example, if there is some GDPR, if we have some requirements from business to protect or collect our data in different side, we can develop another microservice, and we will be able to put in front side this layer. If you want to or decide to move from one provider to another, I mean, if you work now with AWS and want to go to another provider, you easily can clone this infrastructure and go where you want. Microservices gives possibility to scale vertically, horizontally, and what it means when we have monolithic system and when we have small traffic, it's everything okay. But after that, when traffic increasing, we need more resources. So, which means that we should take another machine to, for example, 2 CPU and 2 GB of RAM. And if traffic increasing, we should take another one. And it's not good idea because there is some limitations. And if you have microservices architecture, you can scale your system horizontally, which means if you decide to grow up your infrastructure, you can put another small server in existing pool, and you get better result than this first one. Let's talk about microservices on AWS. It's different approach because AWS have some different services to develop microservices on AWS. On the scheme, you can see this two service. It is CloudFront and S3. We are using it for user interface and to have static content. CloudFront is a global CDN which provide us to have fastest content delivery system, and this S3 is a simple storage service where we can put some files, static files, and these two services works together. After that, we have microservices infrastructure. In front of you, this infrastructure, you can see application load balancer and ECS. What is this? So when you have some big traffic, you should care about that, and you should have some load balancing to route this traffic in different servers. So this is the application load balancer which routes traffic in different servers, and this is a ECS. It means that Elastic Container Service, which means that you can, if you have some Docker containers, you can easily deploy on AWS, and finally you have data layer where you can see Elastic Cache, RDS, or DynamoDB. This is a Elastic Cache is a like Redis, and RDS is a relation database service, and DynamoDB is just document key value based database, like MongoDB, if you know. We can put these data layers behind this infrastructure based on our business logic. For example, if we creating some huge system where we want to have some good performance, good delivery, we should put this Elastic Cache in front of main database. So after that, on this scheme, we have full of scheme of microservices on AWS, and how it works. When client makes a request, it goes to CloudFront. CloudFront gets static content from S3, and from S3 there is some imagine that just index.html file which makes a request to ECS service. In front of this there is load balancer, and this traffic goes through this load balancing. We can discuss more details about DynamoDB and RDS layer, because if we want to to have some systems which collects big information, big data, and want to work fast with them, we should use DynamoDB or RDS. RDS is just how to say, MySQL server. So we can run MySQL database on RDS, but AWS also have Aurora database, which is like MySQL. But as Amazon tells, there is some good tuning, and it gives possibility to get results more fastly from Aurora DB. And on DynamoDB, we can collect information like logs or some raw data, where and after that we can develop another services which can process this data. In my yeah, I want to focus on this slide because I think it's very important to understand value of microservices in your organization, because nowadays deployment process is very hard if you don't have some process to manage it. If you are not using some Docker images or like ECS services. So in this slide you can see how can small teams make deployments on different services. So in this structure you have small teams, one service and one server, which means that your team members will be able to deploy their services when they finish some work. But in another slide in B, there is one and huge system which deployed on one server. So there is big risks to break some business logic or make some messy code on server, and your system goes down. So this is a main idea why companies decide to move from monolithic systems to microservices, because you have possibility to develop something huge, and you don't want to care about programming language. So do you have any questions about the structure? Okay. Yeah, and I want to sum up my talk. What is the benefits of microservices architecture? This is a that this architecture and this approach is high scalability, and you can scale it anytime when you want, and when you have some huge traffic. Yeah. And yeah.
I can say like few things. So this was like more like AWS, like how it works, right? But actually like inside of organization. So I'm not like a very tech guy, right? So I'm more like in business. And I can like just say a few things how it helped like our organization. So maybe it's like also should be interesting. So talking about the cloud front that Lasha was talking about, I think like one of the cool things about cloud front is that so like I don't know, is everybody like very tech here or like not so much? Okay, so pretty much the cloud front is that, let's say you have a content and you have like users all over the world, but then like if your server is in Frankfurt, and then if somebody like from Brazil is trying to join your content, it might take like a bit longer to load the content from Frankfurt, right? But then like if you have your content on CloudFront of Amazon, then like anywhere where Amazon has servers, the content gonna be loading from whichever is closer. So let's say if there is an Amazon server in Chile, and then if you're in Brazil, so your content gonna be loading from Amazon Chile and not Frankfurt, usually. But so this is like what everybody knows in AWS. But then like there is this very cool service that AWS launched around like 2 months ago, is that you are now able to join your own server with AWS using your own software. Well, not your own software, but AWS software. And then let's say you have your cloud, but then you have your internal server in the organization, which is joined with your AWS ecosystem, right? So this enables you to have, let's say, in Russia or Belarus, they ask you to have data of users inside of the country, right? So before it was like really hard for us to join AWS cloud with some local database in Belarus or somewhere else, but now we are able to have our server in Belarus, which is joined with our ecosystem of AWS. And in that way, the content could be loaded and the database could be stored of Belarusian citizens inside of Belarus. So like, you know, so these are kind of some of the cool business cases, because maybe it's not very important where is your database like otherwise, but then like in legal side it's like very important. So you are able to do that. Yeah, one of the cases.
Good speech. Yes, this is a final slide of mine, and if you have any questions, yeah.
Me? We have talked about benefits of using microservices, but I think that every technology that we use in tech have its own pros and cons. I think microservices should have cons too. And what about that?
Okay, good question. So microservices have benefits and have another side. Yeah. So this another side is to manage many of these small services, because if your API is growing, you should care about whole system. So and if you have some break in one microservice, you should care about that. I mean,
you mean that when one microservice uses another microservice as dependency, we should care about downsides of that service? Okay. So it means that you mentioned that there is a vertical expansion of our interface infrastructure and horizontal.
Yes.
In this case, it means that it doesn't matter it is microservices or monolith. You should care about parts of our infrastructure.
I know. If you imagine that you have one infrastructure, okay, and another infrastructure, same infrastructure, and in front of that you have load balancer, okay. So when traffic comes, this load balancer checks this first system, okay, and gives result from there. But if this infrastructure is go down or it's not working, you always have different infrastructure, same infrastructure, okay? But if you decide that this infrastructure is not enough for your traffic, you can put another server in existing pool, and your scale. Yeah.
But Amazon Web Services do it automatically, I know.
Yes. Based on CloudWatch logs, you can scale it automatically. You can put another server in your pool, or just when you don't want to have this server, you can shut it down.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can also say about business side, yes, if you like. So I remember when we were like monolithic, it was usually like just going to Lasha and team and being like, guys, there's like one button and I want to look at like different, right? And they would be like, sure, let's do it. And here we go, right? So now it does work as that. So now I think like one of the parts of migration from monolithic to agile to microservices is it's not like only the tech team, but it's also the organization should become like agile, which is so agile method of management. Who knows what is agile? Okay, so now since you know, like I'm just gonna go into it. So now we have this 2-week-long sprints, right? So sprint is a period of time where we plan beforehand what needs to be done during the next 2 weeks. So if I go to Lasha and tell Lasha, I want this button, so and so, he's gonna be like, cool, but we are in the middle of the sprint, so the next sprint starts next Monday, and only after 2 weeks you're gonna see your button in the system, right? So it kind of, I think, changes very much how organization works and how the processes are structured inside of not only tech team but also the business team. So before we were like, whatever client was like, yeah, I want to do that, okay, let's do that. Now we are like, you want to do that? Wait 3 months, you know. So which you might say it's downside, but I think it's not downside. It's much more structural approach to the development, and clients actually think that it's cool too. I mean, they value our approach, you know, in a more structural way. Yeah.
I have more questions. I think you are using Aurora or using MySQL based on RDS?
MySQL based on RDS.
What about disaster recovery? I mean, I would like to know your experience doing disaster recovery. I mean,
recovery?
Disaster recovery. Let's say if one region is going down,
mm-hmm.
I mean, should be available in another region, or house engineering, are you doing such things? I don't know.
Yeah.
It depends on availability of your business.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it can happen, so let's say US East going down and you should be able your data or serve your data from US West. So
yes.
Do you have
we have, you know, multi-AZ deployment. It's based on...
Multi-AZ is between one region.
Yes.
Think about multi-region disaster recovery.
I don't understand. If, for example,
I think that it means that having your microservices based like and kind of cover of your same services in like other regions. So US, Frankfurt.
Yes.
So right now we are based in Frankfurt only.
Okay.
So we don't have, and I don't know, we've been working with AWS like for 1.5 years. Yes, I understand that there could be a case when it just goes down.
I was just asking to know your experience. If you have, nice to share. If you're fine with current solution, it's fine also.
Yeah, it's giving us some backup files in every, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. And after that, if something went wrong, we have 2 databases, which is one master and another one is replica. And this information is replicating each other. So if this main database goes down, we have another secondary database, and it automatically gets information from this secondary database.
Okay. And another question about distributed tracing. I mean, are you using such practice for microservices? Because it's more related to microservices, like, because you can send request to one microservice, and after it can chaining with different, querying different kind of microservices to get response to original client, let's say, original user. And there's such concept like putting distributed tracing to see the latency, how distributed your request between different microservices. If you have using such. We
have some custom watchers, which is developed from our team, and it watches this request chain from starting to end, and it collects information how many times want to execute this information, how many times wants to go from one microservice to another one, and we're collecting this information for analyzing if something goes down.
Just another question related to this, and so I will not ask anymore. In ABC, there is an X-ray for such kind of things.
So
if you use it.
No, I don't use X-ray.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a rule when you should go with microservices, or depends on team size or project size?
If you have some small website, I mean, for example, just say blog, you don't want to develop microservices because it's hard to manage if you want to have just blog. But if you want to have some shop magazine, you should think about microservices because your business based on different small things. I mean.
When you start alone or 2 people.
What?
When you start alone or with 2 people.
No,
it's more like I think it's more of like business decision. I think because it all depends like how big you want to be.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have decided, if you have made like a contract with yourself that you are in business for a long time, it's not just like a test run or something, right? So if you have decided that, okay, here I am, David, this is what I'm going to do for the next 5 years. I think you need to go with microservices for sure.
From the ground, yes?
Yes, from the ground. Because as soon as you add more people on the team, they're going to be developing new services. And then you might be adding people who are writing in like different language. And that's where microservices are great, right? Because you can pretty much add people from different backgrounds who are doing like different microservices on different languages. So I think that like we made it, well, we started with Mono like for 2 years. And then like now the development is like much faster. much faster. Like deployments of new services, of new platforms are like being done like 2 weeks usually, because all the because a lot of microservices are used by other services. So as soon as business has new thing to develop, some of microservices are already created, and then you just develop like another edition of microservice in 2 weeks, which uses like a lot of other things. But then like on business side, it's totally new platform, right? Yeah. So.
Yeah, if you have a small team, for example, with three people, you can give them possibility to develop independently microservices, and they will responsible on these services. Okay, so it means that you have three threaded development process.
Every service has its own developers, yes? Or developers can...
Well, usually, yeah, that's how it goes. Each service has a dedicated developer or a team. It could be... So development is going like parallelly. So it's not like me waiting for somebody else to develop something. Yeah, that's like one of the great things about it, that everybody's doing their own thing.
So there is a separation of responsibilities.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, we've been working in that way, like parallel development. Now sometimes we are just like putting. So when we plan a sprint, we just put like all the tasks inside, and then somebody could be like, well, maybe big data is not my thing, but I'm gonna do it in this sprint. So it's so much flexible now, you know. Because sometimes you just get bored with writing like in one direction, and then you're like, maybe I should try something new. Yeah. So now, let's say one of the developers was writing on PHP, and now he's like, maybe Python. So he's now developing new microservice on Python, and we are fine with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. Any more questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.